Lawyers for senior David insisted Thursday on forcing prosecutors to show what evidence they have. And a judge actually set a date hearing for next week for them to lay it out publicly in the unaliving and dismemberment of Celeste Hernandez. The 21-year-old, whose legal name is David Burke, appeared in a small Los Angeles courtroom in orange jail clothes, sitting next to his attorneys exactly 1 year after authorities say Hernandez, a 14-year-old from Lake Eleanor, California, was last known to be alive.
Yeah, everybody know exactly what went down, and I feel they should give David the death penalty, and the family knew about it. They like it kind of evidence is pointing back to the family having something to do with it too. Like the family knew what was going on. Maybe he was paying the family off. You never know what was going on. And a lot of people kept saying that Celeste ain't finna be away from her home for that long without her family asking or trying to figure out what went down. They started searching and then they just stopped. They said that the family was paid off by the dude David.
Anything is possible, and we could definitely sit here and speculate all day long. But when this case first was brought to light, they showed video and explained that Celeste had some family issues. And, that age group, the young girls are trying to find their footing. She had some bad interaction with her family, and whether she ran away, they kicked her out, we'll never really know because that's something that's going to be kept under wraps. But the disheartening fact to this, they were 7 years apart.
Yeah.
She is 14 and he's 21.
That's still too old. Because when you really look at it, it's still something that he wasn't supposed to be doing, regardless if he got consent from the parents or not. She was too young. So regardless of how he tried to ask them what evidence they got and all this stuff, it don't matter. You did it, bro. It got found in your car. She was found inside of your car.
And they tried to play it off. Oh, he's at concerts. He's here. He's there. Well, now Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman said that the prosecution has volumes of evidence that will take time to share, including abuse images taken from his phone with a warrant that must be handled sensitively. That means there's a lot more out there than any one of us should be able to tolerate or stomach. She was a young girl. She was a baby. I would be devastated if that was my child. At the end of the day, she said the prosecution is fine with working on an incredibly tight timeline for the hearing, which usually comes many months after defendants are arrested and charged. She said, "We will be ready." Today is exactly 1 year since the death of Celeste, the prosecutor said. "We are eager to set this case for trial."
They need to set it for trial because he know what he did. Like, when you go out here in these streets, certain things you do will lead you either dead or in jail, man. And I ain't gonna even sugarcoat it. If she had her family over at Davis and she would have came home for the holidays or whatever, the family knew she was over there because the family was visiting her while she was at the man's house.
They absolutely knew what was going on, and they knew that there was more to it than them just being friends. She was too young, and I don't remember the exact amount of time, but they had been friends for a couple years before it even moved into something more serious.
She went back home just to go to their graduation. Then she went to their Six Flags trip, and everybody know for a fact what went down. And I know a lot of people said, like, man, why would David do something like this? He was trying to cover up the evidence. He know what he did. She was about to expose that man. And anytime you go out here, you put yourself in a situation, man. It's females your age. Why would you even pick her? Like, at the end of the day, how did you meet her? Why did you meet her? Why did you fall for somebody who you know you're supposed to be with? Like, at the end of the day.
It's really a very sad situation that it even came to this. They were both young and they both had full lives ahead of them. He had a music career, and well, she's just a young lady barely figuring out who she is in life. That's a lot to leave open for, a life, a career, motherhood. She didn't get to get any of that. Her life was taken from her abruptly. And then, like, in the worst kind of way, a dismemberment of her body. They had to figure out who it even was. It was so bad.
Yeah, they bogus for even doing that. But they said that the dude who actually got locked up first, they said that that's the dude who actually telling on David. his friend.
Well, 9 times out of 10 it is. Now, on the flip side of all of this, his lawyer thinks that the evidence will actually clear David of the charges.
It probably don't, though.
9 times out of 10, a district attorney isn't going to move on something that they can't prosecute. That's a waste of their funds, their resources, and their time, because pretty much it's coming from the city that it's moving forward.
They all should be held accountable for what happened, regardless if they did it or not. They knew exactly what was going on, and for him to hide the girl in streams and stuff, and then next thing you know, he say, delete everything, delete the whole stream. He said that because she said, how do you feel about kids? Mm-hmm. You feel me? Like, he know exactly what he was doing.
Well, and then he turned around and made music tattletelling on himself, but trying to blend it into everyday content and everyday material that you would produce. And it's just my heart and I'm in love and blah, blah, blah. No. Yeah, that's evidence in its own way.
Yeah, he f***ed up. Yeah. Yeah, he knew what he doing. He knew exactly what was going on. But the family should be the ones that to blame too, because they should have been looking for that girl.
The sad part is, while they believe that she passed from penetrating upper wounds, the body was so decomposed that it interfered with a proper examination.
That's sad.
It's horrible. She sat there for how long? You got to think about how long it actually takes for a body to break down and decompose to the point that you can't identify somebody. It takes time.
What type of person would do that to somebody?
A heartless one? That's pure heartless, and that was an act of pure rage, if you ask my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you have to go to another level mentally to be able to just destroy a person like that.
We gonna cover this case too, because they already said that David, it's a lot of stuff that people ain't bring out there to the forefront, but we gonna bring it out there. David know what he did, and he gonna be held accountable for it, and he gonna be charged for everything that went down. He think because he got a little money, he gonna get himself up out of this, but it ain't gonna happen like that.
You know, it really comes to light that they believe, allegedly, that he was abusing her all these years. Not that it was even consensual. So that's a whole nother level.
I can believe it.
And then they're saying that when she decided to try and break off the relationship and separate herself from him, that this is when he lost his mind and made the decision that he did. But that would also explain the rage that was behind this. Because again, to go to this level, this isn't just, pulling out something and utilizing it as a tool.
He pre-planned this.
He pre-planned it. This. It was premeditated, and he had to have the right tools to make this happen. And it was done out of rage. Pure rage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be like that, but we know exactly what, the truth about it and what really went down.
He just gained popularity, and just 2022 really built a fan base for himself.
It ain't even been 5 years.
In this young lady and him met, so 2022, they believe that they were together in 2023, and pretty much...
She's not even his age, though.
She's not, 7-year difference. And pretty much within a year, he's ruined his whole life.
Yeah, see? He knows, that's karma, though. When you really look at it, that's karma. You can't go out here doing stuff like that. And then you gotta understand, we don't even cover stuff like this, but we covering this because the new evidence came out. The phone records leaked to everything that he had, going on, man.
For me, this hits a little too close to home. I again, would be devastated if this was my child. And to think that people are out there and they have this type of mindset, you never know who your friend, your foe, your neighbor, you never know, what they're capable of.
Never.
She should have been able to trust him with her life. And she did, and he took it from her.
She should have been able to trust him with her life if she was with her cousin or somebody who was over age, who was over there chilling with them or something, but she wasn't even at the age to the point where she should have been around him. There's no way you gone from the house that many days and your family ain't put out no Amber Alert or nothing. Come on now.
Well, initially they did report her as a runaway. They initially reported her as a runaway, but then it kind of just fell off.
Yeah.
I believe they found her one time, and then she left again, and then they started socializing again. They even have video footage of her coming in, like, and being a part of a family. I don't know if it was a graduation or a birthday or something, but they were having a celebration in the backyard, and she was there. So she had remade contact with her family, but it was obviously a rocky relationship. And again, teenage girls, sometimes it's a struggle.
They be fast. That's what it is. They be fast, and even regardless of how fast she was, she still didn't deserve to get did like that. I don't care what she finna tell on him. He know what he was doing. Don't get mad because she finna try to break away from your abusiveness.
And that's the whole thing that triggered him. Like, he just couldn't let her go. He had a sense of control and possession over her, and he could not let her go. But this is a young boy's mindset.
Yeah,
This
he's
ain't
thinking
a
the wrong
full-grown
way.
man. This isn't a man who's went through life, dated a few times, and actually, had a relationship or two to even have a foundation of knowledge. Nope, we're young, we're young, we're young on all ends of it. The young lady is too young, he's too young, and we made very poor decisions.
But stuff happen like that. You start making like poor decisions when you start slipping up because you thought you comfortable. You feel me? You thought you was real comfortable. You thought you was about to get away with it. You don't never supposed to do nobody like that. Not to mention, you sitting there. You come on now. You was 21 years old, boy. You knew something was wrong with that. Like at the end of the day, you knew something was wrong with that. That's why when the police got up on you, man, you driving your Teslas and your trucks and your cars and all this stuff. You ain't like really caring or worried about. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and then the stupidest way to get rid of a body, your own vehicle.
Yeah,
Your
that's what I'm
own
saying.
vehicle abandoned for days. I don't remember if there was a police report put for stolen or not, but there was a police report for a foul odor coming out of it. And when
Yep.
they pulled it to the junkyard and they popped it, they found this 14-year-old minor in the back.
And guess what else they said? They said that the reason why he even thought to put her in that back like that is because the dude who got locked up first, his friend, he told him like, I think it'll be a good idea to put it in your car and then we go out of town and then just put it in the pound and then they'll find it and then all you can say you was out of town, you don't know what happened. But that was the dumbest thing they ever could do.
They weren't far enough out of town because they were still in California. They were doing concerts around the different states of California. They hadn't fully started the tour yet out of state. And therefore, you were still in proximity. You can get anywhere in California within just a couple hours and be back before even anyone bats an eye at it.
Yeah, they know that, but the way that they moving now, the way that they doing everything, it's like they know that David was in cahoots with the family. That's why the story seemed off. That's why the whole story seemed off. And this is coming straight from New Hampshire.
At the end of the day, as a mother, like, I have questions to the mother. Why didn't you step in and stop it? First and foremost, that's your baby. And she was just a baby, y'all. She hadn't even hit 16, 17, 18. She hadn't even hit her primal years of being a teenager.
Yeah, people knew exactly what was going on. That's why once he was sitting behind bars inside of that courtroom, boy, all they kept saying was, David, he gonna end up doing some time for this, man.
He needs to do life. I don't necessarily personally believe in death penalty, but life without possibility of parole and pay for his crimes.
They said he did it for financial gain. That's what make it even worse.
What's there to really gain, though? He's on his way to an uphill career, and he just threw that in the gutter. Because he ain't going to have no friends, fans, and followers once he's proven guilty.
Nope, he didn't care about nothing that was going on. This is what make everything more liable that he did it because he didn't care at first. But then now since he getting older, everything's starting to hit him. Life's starting to get at him. So he looking at it like, I can't go down for this. When they saw that, remains in that car, all they kept saying was these license plates belong to David, the singer.
Well, and then we were dumb enough to keep evidence on our phone.
They bogus because right above her like her intestines. I ain't gonna even talk about that. It like it was a mark or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
they bogus for doing what they did. The autopsy showed everything, and y'all can go look at it. Everybody know what was going on, man.
It's just, it's heartbreaking. At the end of the day, it is absolutely heartbreaking to
They
see
had a
stuff like this
toxology
happen.
report, and the toxology report it showed everything that was in her system.
Yeah, but who's to say he didn't drug her?
He was in that black truck, literally the black truck. Who dropped it off? They said that the footage of the person dropping it off and then hopping in that white Tesla car.
But if I'm not mistaken, don't all of those type of vehicles have video like everywhere, 360 around the car, in the car, they can see everything and it records 24/7?
They said by the truck being in David name, he didn't want to release the footage. You feel me? If the truck was still in his name, but he didn't pay the car off, and the Tesla car still had the lease, the note. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The if they still had the what's that
The
called?
pink slip.
Yeah, the pink slip. They still had the pink slip for the car. That means that they would have just instantly, soon as the feds came and asked for that information about the footage, that
Search
was
warrant.
yeah, they would have gave him the search warrant and they would have instantly gave it to him
Mm-hmm.
immediately, and the feds would have had that evidence. But now how everything looking by David cousin coming out and saying that he owned the phone, he owned the car, whatever. By him owning that car, that makes it to where they cannot get that footage, regardless of if they even go and take off certain parts of it. You know,
Because he has to give. Well, I mean, yes and no, because we're talking about, an unliving. That's a different game that they play. So they probably are able to acquire that footage with or without his permission because at this point he's under investigation.
yep. His lawyer, they said that he gonna be able to get up out of this one, but I feel that they gonna come and cross reference everything that they saw in that music video he made and use it against him.
I don't even think it's just the music video. Again, a district attorney isn't going to take on a case that they don't feel they can win because
Exactly.
they don't have enough resources as it is.
I know. That's sad though. I like it usually happen. Everything usually go a whole totally different way, but you see how everything going. They they both doing what they did, but that's why I say you gotta watch the people you hang around, watch the company you keep, because David know what he did. That was a little girl, boy, and I don't like talking about stuff like this, but cause I got little sisters, nigga. Like at the end of the day, we know for a fact that David he put himself in this situation, and now you got to face the consequences. You thought you was just gonna get up out of this untouched. Come on now, it don't go like that. And I want y'all to hit the like button if you're a fan of Celeste. Hit the like button so YouTube can recommend this video. We got to get back in the algorithm.
At the end of the day, a young lady lost her life because a older gentleman, and even still young, played on her emotions and whatever she was going through in life. And when she said, "This is enough, I don't want to be a part of it no more," he said, "Well, it's not that easy to get out."
Yep, and that's when everything went down. It's sad what happened, man, but they gonna get him. They gonna get him. I know they is. And everybody already know. Whenever you cross that line over there, doing stuff like that, it always come back on you.
I'll put it this way. Let's say, he get lucky enough to get life. There's a lot of dads in jail that they're not there because they don't love their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll leave it at that.
And they gonna get him. I want everybody to let me know if you feel that David was wrong. Let me know down in the comment section if you feel that the family got something to do with it. Let me know, man. Share this video on Facebook and Twitter. Everybody know exactly what's going on. It's gonna eventually end in Celeste's favor. I think it is.
She'll absolutely get justice one way or another. And she deserves it. She was young, naive, didn't know better, and didn't obviously have good guidance in this matter. So, RIP, because she's an angel somewhere.
People out there in New Hampshire, they kept saying that the family involved. I want y'all to let me know. Do y'all think the family involved in this? Cause that's sad. What happened to Celeste? Like this should have never even came